All right.
Class. Put on your chapstick, make me bust a lip.
It's a lip busting good time. Hopefully, this week goes a little more smoothly than last week. That was a debacle of my own making, and a good lesson to be learned, I guess. Let's see, what did I do with that guy? I was trying to find it. I think this is it. Photo searcher, yeah. And yeah, you can fire that up. So last week, as you may recall, there was the debacle with the crashing app mysteriously, and as it turned out, it's a good lesson in attention to detail, because the entire cause of the problem, after I swapped a bunch of code around and gnashed my teeth and pounded my chest in lamentations, was that I had a space in my URL. And
Really?
that was it. So in the, or actually in the key. So the key gets combined into the URL, it's a part of the URL, and it had a space in it. And that was causing an invalid URL. Every time I should have realized it. It's just common sense because it worked fine every other time I did it. But it's in the Flickr searcher. When it was going to create the URL there, this API key that I was pulling out of the plist had a space, and so it was an invalid URL, and it just was not about to budge, no matter how hard I tried changing the way I was calling it and other things like that. So got rid of the space, and lo and behold, everything, make a liar of me here, but everything was hunky-dory after I did that. Oh, and that is where I left off. If anyone else had a similar issue, that's the cause of it. There's a space in the URL. The other, well, let this go ahead and start up and run 20 results. If all is as it should be. That was one issue. The other thing was some people had that security issue, security error. And so that is solved by the NS settings, just allowing arbitrary loads in your plist. Having that set to yes solves that problem. So the Flickr URL is an HTTP URL, and with the release of iOS 9, Apple has enforced SSL security around all NSURL connections, so you can't make an HTTP request unless you add this bad boy into your plist. And then that says, okay, I realize I'm doing something that's unsafe, but I just want to go ahead and do it.
Much like the rest of life.
Yep. Yep.
I don't need insurance. Go.
Yeah. I'll be fine.
Okay.
All right. Search for Vikings. There's my break, one of my many breakpoints that I set. Results process okay, and we have 20 matching search terms. All made possible by eliminating one space. All right, so that was where we left off. That's where I left off. Not being able to continue any further. So if you had a similar problem, that was all that had to be done. Otherwise, if you had a security-related issue where it was saying something about an SSL handshake or something like that, that would be due to the app transport setting in the plist. And the actual setting here, if I open up this plist, if I open and show it as source code, is this. So one potential error would be if you just type in the friendly way it appears, which is app transport security setting. It's actually NS app transport security. And then it just does this little magic translation and turns it into a more user-readable version of it. But you actually want to type in NS app transport security, just like that. And then when you hit enter or whatever, then it says, oh, I know what that is, and then it converts it into the user-readable version or a more friendly version, and then this guy needs to be set to true, and then voila, you can call whatever you want. So that was that. Before we continue on, does anyone have any questions or still having problems? Okay, so for tonight, we'll go through the rest of the collection view stuff pretty quickly. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. Collection views are wonderful items, wonderful controls. They're pretty powerful. Their use is fairly limited. Almost every time I've seen the use of one is to display a grid of pictures. The other use might be to display like color tiles, that kind of thing. So they're good for displaying a variety of visual elements. So they are fairly complex. You can do some pretty amazing things with them. We're not going to go real in depth with it. We'll finish it off so we can get pictures to load. And then that'll probably be as far as we go, because I want to get into loading images from the photo gallery and modifying them and saving them. And then next week, where are we at here? Today's the 26th. So it must be it's the second or third. Whatever. Okay. Yeah. 26th, so then it's going to be the 3rd. So then we have 2 more weeks after tonight. So tonight we'll hopefully cover the photo gallery stuff and our camera roll. And then that last week then, or actually not last week, but next week, we'll do the Objective-C and Swift merging mania. Fun with languages, and then the final week, the 10th, will just be open lab. You can come in and just play to your heart's content. So that's the game plan. All right. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get into this stuff tonight then, and then we'll continue on our merry way. All right, so we have a few methods we need to implement in our collection view. Just looking at what we have available here that they've made for us. We have this function that we created that returns the Flickr photo, which is what we're getting back from our Flickr search object. And then we have a basic self-for index path, or self-for item at index path, I should say. Number of sections in collection view, and number of items in section we need to implement yet. So this guy is pretty easy. Our searches is what we're keeping track of. So we have multiple searches, potentially. So up here we have our searches guy. It's an array of Flickr search results. So it's kind of like an array of arrays. So that will define our number of sections. Because we're going to have, like if you search for tree, and you get a bunch of trees back, you get 20 of those guys, plop them in there, and then you do a search for house. And the search for house basically will concatenate on the search for tree instead of replacing it. All right. Then we have the number of items in section. The number of items in section is for each individual section, so that's like one level lower. So for that, we can index the particular section that we're in, which is a parameter that's passed into this method, section there. So you need the searches section dot search results dot count, and that will give us the number of individual pictures in each section. All right, now we can get into our cell for row and cell for item at index path. We didn't create a Flickr. No, we didn't. I think we're going to need, in fact, I'm quite certain we are probably going to want, we're going to want to create our own class to represent the UI collection view cell. So right now, we're using the stock out of the box thing. We haven't used anything yet because we didn't actually get to that point. But once the search results come back and we got our pictures, we want to put them in our collection view. And to do that, you need a collection view cell. So if I go to my main storyboard, this guy here, which is the collection view equivalent of a table view row. That's the collection view cell. And right now it's just a stock one. It's a UI collection view cell, but we want to customize that guy and make it our own. So I think we need to create our own class to do that. So I'm going to create a new file. Couldn't remember exactly how far we gotten last week. So this is Cocoa Touch. This will be a Flickr photo cell, and it is derived. What in the world am I typing? Don't want to repeat of last week. That's just not good. This is a UI collection view cell derivative, and then it Xcode goes ahead and just plops all kinds of stuff on the end there. It's like, no, you want all this too, don't you? No, don't actually. Flickr photo cell is all I want. Derived from UI collection view cell. We don't need a zip file for this guy. We're just going to use the raw. It's not going to be too complex. We're just going to have an image view in there and then create. So this is our Flickr photo cell. Gives you more than it usually does, at least to get a class. And I'll let the spinning wheel of death continue until it's done. All right, here we are. All right, so this guy basically is just going to be a container. We'll have an image view. You could add other stuff to it. You could add like a label and stuff. For our purpose, we're just going to have a collection of images. That's a UI image view. We'll create an init method for him. This really is just so that we can initiate or instantiate it with a frame. We'll use our frame that's passed into us. And I'm just going to complain like crazy because I don't have override in front of it. And then still going to complain like crazy because we didn't implement the init with coder. Because if we want to init with a coder, we want to throw a fatal error. We can leave this in here. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to comment it. That's just a required method. Oh, maybe I can't comment it. All right, so be it. We'll throw a fatal error. We don't have to worry about it. The init from coder would be if you serialize this class to disk, and then you want to pull it back out of disk, you would deserialize it, and then you'd create a decoder to basically rehydrate it. And so that's what that's all about, but we're not doing that. But they make us implement it. So that's where we're at with that. Now we have our own Flickr photo cell class. I can go back into our Flickr photo view controller. Say that 3 times fast. Okay, so there's our method. Our text field should return. That does our searching for us. And where's my cell for item? Okay. There he is. Okay, so we have the cell. Our use identifier is Flickr cell. Okay. So we're pulling it out. We're dequeuing it. We are, however, going to typecast this. As a Flickr photo cell. Because this is ours that we're using. and we have to be exclamatory about it. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is set a background color on our cell. Now recall our handy utility function that we created, which gives us the flicker photo that we want, passing in an index path. That's that little utility method we created that gave me some grief as well, because I was not returning a value, and I was supposed to return a value, but instead of giving me a syntax error, it decided to just shut down the editor. And Adam caught that. So this guy is the one that returns our correct photo. So we're going to say let photo for index path, and we just pass in the index path that's passed to us. That gets us the correct photo. Then, so now we're dequeuing these cells. So we're popping them off the queue as we go along. The user is scrolling through our list of images, just frantically looking for a specific image, just scrolling through. So these guys are popping off the queue, and we're recreating these cells. So when we do that, we don't know if our Flickr photo cell has been initialized once before or not. So we can't take chances. We need to check and see if our image view is nil or not. If it is, we got to create it. Chances are it will, until we've run through it once. So we're going to create remember the init that we just created for our Flickr photo. We're going to utilize it now. We're going to create a CG rect that is going to represent the photo size of this, and that's going to go into our cell. We will inset it into the cell by 10 pixels, and then we'll set a Flickr. The width of it will be the Flickr photo dot thumbnail dot size dot width, and we'll go the whole width. And then the height will be the same thing, will be the Flickr photo thumbnail dot size dot height, and let's see, insert the exclamation point, and one more time for good measure. Now we have our bounding rectangle, and we can create our Flickr photo cell from that. So we can say cell dot right. Equals Flickr photo. Oops. Cell, passing in our frame. Yeah, I had to make it a var. It won't let me do a let because we're modifying it. Now we say cell.imageView, which is the image view we added to this guy, equals UI image. It's kind of weird that they don't create these UI collection view cells right off the bat with an image view in them, because that's generally what they're used for. And we can just make our photo the size of basically the size of the cell. this offset here will only be useful really if we already have. Actually, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and change that. It's not offset at all. There we go. Since we're making the photo that's basically the size of the cell. And then we can say cell.image.view.image equals Flickr photo.thumbnail. That should size it for us and make everything hunky-dory. And then we can say cell.add subview, add the image view. Oh wait, cell.image view. There. So that's all handling the case where we do not have a Flickr photo cell created. We need an else block to handle if it was. If it was, we can just say cell.image.view.image equals Flickr photo dot thumbnail. And then we just return the cell. And life is good. So we have number of sections, number of items. I think the only thing we need to implement, let me double check my notes. Yes, we need to do the size for item and index path. It's the other thing we're going to want to implement. So this is kind of like height for row and index path. For a table view, we need to set the size for item and index path. Just looking to see if we got that baby handy. It's interesting, I got two of these. All right, looks like I don't. So let's go ahead and make them. So this is just going to be collection view. In fact, if we just do size, I believe that's it, although it goes on forever. Size for item and index path. This is our guy. All right, so this tells it how big to make each one. So the one that we just did, the cell for item, basically creates the cell. But you might recall, like with the table view, you could have a table view row. You could have like an image inside that row that extended beyond the boundaries of the cell because it was bigger than the actual row height. So we had to tell the table view how tall to make the row. Same thing with the collection view. It's kind of weird, but we actually have to tell the collection view how large to make the cell for the particular item. Because they can vary. So like with the collection view, they aren't necessarily all the same size. You can have varying size images that can pass back. So we can do our handy function that we created again. I'll stick to the same naming convention. Equals photo. All right, photo for index path. And passing an index path. Now these guys are a little tricky. You may get an image that hasn't been loaded yet. We do it asynchronously, so we got to make sure that we have a valid object. So what we can do is say we create a size here. Like that. I'm checking for the size of the Flickr thumbnail. So we're going to have to do a little massaging here. It's complaining about using an optional type. Okay. So you have to change. What I did was I had an exclamation point here. It's like this is an optional, so I need to put a question mark there, and then it's perfectly fine. So once we have the size, we're gonna inflate it a little bit. Size.width component I'll add 10 to. Oops. I'll show you something weird here. Because I know you guys are in the mood for something weird. See if this, it's not balking about it. Intriguing. Alright, never mind. What I thought it was going to complain about was the fact that I was using an increment operator on my height, and I've seen it where it has complained about that in the past and said that that's a decremented operator. They're deprecated operator. They're not going to use it in future versions of Swift. But maybe they changed their mind. All right, then we just return size. Now, so this is the scenario. This if statement is the scenario where we have a valid size, we have an image, a thumbnail with a valid size. If we don't, then we need to just return something. So we'll just make it 200 by 200 and call it a day. Okay. Let's see, did we do the inset? Nope. Okay, so there's one more thing I think we need to implement yet, and then we should be off to the races. And that is the inset for item at index path. And the inset allows us to add additional padding. And can be used for formatting purposes. So far, is everyone following along with this? I'm just kind of rambling along, not really paying attention to what's going on around me in my own little world. So kind of make these things up as we go along here. All right, so I think we're close to having a collection view that doesn't abort anymore and actually does stuff. All right, so the next thing we need to implement is the, let's see if I can just type inset for, yeah, I think that might be it. So this is a layout delegate protocol. Yep, inset for section at index. All right, so this is a, you may recall that this is a delegate for the UI collection view delegate flow layout flow delegate protocol. So.
What did you type?
Oh, item inset for section and index. So you just start typing inset for section, and this humongously long function name will pop up, and you just assume it's right.
It's not happening for me. Fail.
All right, let me try this again. Inset for section at. If you do not have this protocol implemented up here, it won't do it for you. So you got to have that guy defined as a delegate.
What's that?
The UI collection view delegate flow layout. It needs a few more descriptive words jammed into that name. UI collection view delegate flow layout. So the UI collection view delegate flow layout is allows it to define things like the insets, which we predefined last week here. So this is our padding that we're adding. That might be a bit accessible. We'll see what happens, I guess. All right. So is everyone able to get this method to come up? No. otherwise, I wonder. I usually just start typing the name. The name of it is usually embedded in here, but I wonder if you start typing collection view.
Yeah, then you get the long list of what's available.
You're right. So then you can just look for item.
Layout.
Yeah, that's gonna be at the bottom, I think, of everything.
They have-
You're,
Yours aren't alphabetized. Mine are
yeah,
alphabetized.
got a weird.
Yeah, everything I do is weird. Yeah. I'm gonna go back to where it was. So
You got an extra M in there.
intem. It looks like it might have found it though. Let's see.
That's messed up.
Minimum interim spacing for section and index. Woo! No. What was it? Inset
Inset
for item at index for section, I think it is actually. And then you end up with that. So is everyone able to get this?
True.
All right. So the inset is just going to be, we're just going to simply return that variable we created up here. Section inserts, I call it. I think I meant to call it insets, but that's fine. So that's all the plumbing, I think, that we have to have. We might have to come up here to our view did load, because what we're doing is we're registering, we'll get the horrible red ribbon of homicide if we don't change this guy to a Flickr photo cell. There. All right, let's see what happens. Yeah, not much happens.
You should just do really words.
Oh, I wonder if I'm calling reload data. Do. Yeah, that might be my problem. Yeah. Okay. So in the cert text field should return guy, in order to actually see something happen, we're going to need to reload or load the collection views table data. It's kind of like we do with the table view. So if the results are not nil, this is where we want to be. This is our little block of happiness. Then we can say self.searches. Forgot that we actually have to do stuff with our data. .insert. So we're going to insert our new search results. Results. And the index we're going to insert them at. Why do I not have that IntelliSense for it? I should have, but at index, I think this was called 0. All right, well, nope, something wrong there. Don't use an exclamation point, you don't get IntelliSense. All right. Then, now that we have, so that basically that takes our search results that we get back and it inserts it at the front of our list. So then those searches, those images will appear at the top of our collection view. And then we say self collection view reload data. Handy function that exists for collection view just like it does for table view. So there is some consistency in the Apple world. And then finally, down here, we want to do some stuff to clean up our UI. Set our text field text to be empty so we don't have to clear it out next time we come in. And then we can resign the first responder. Again, resigning the first responder takes the keyboard out if it's there. And in my case, it doesn't show up because I'm using my computer keyboard, but if you're on the phone, it would still be there. All right, try again. It's weird. I think bad things are about to happen.
Aren't there search terms coming in?
So, has anyone had success yet?
I don't know.
Oh, Dr. Jones.
My search term goes back to that mill or something. Do you have Sigabart?
Yeah.
Is it Sigabart? I think so.
Thread one.
That's what I've got too.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, search term. Dissertation failure.
Mention term.
Okay, let's see, we get up here to the top, we get create prepared cell for item at index path with layout attribute.
Is it because we're setting the text field to blank? Or not?
I don't think so. Line number description, handle failure method, DQ reusable cell. So it's something happening with our cell for item at index path. Cells must be retrieved by calling, yeah, well I did. Does not have a reuse identifier. Working our way back up. The cell return from collection view cell for item at index path does not have a reuse identifier. Well, I thought it did. So now I think we know where to head to. Where was that method? Collection view DQ reusable cell with reuse identifier. The use identifier for index path as Flickr photo. So this is the thing I was trying to avoid. Up in our view did load, we have register class, for cell reuse identifier, reuse identifier is up here. Well, it's just not believing me. Okay. Well, we'll put a breakpoint in here and try letting it rip. Okay, index path looks valid, collection view looks valid, cell is nil because we haven't created here yet. Alright, so that time it was fine. Everything appears to be fine. Till then. Oh wait, no, it's just, alright. We're in Never Never Land. Alright, and then we're gone. Weirdness. Let's try, I'll just try this. I don't think this is right, but. Did register the cell, I'm pretty sure. Register class for use identifier. Use identifier, so everything should be cool. Alright. Did that. There's a reuse identifier. It's recognized it anywhere. Alright. Not liking it. Alright. And no call stack. Alright. Not quite sure why it's giving us such a fit. But what we can do is go into our storyboard file. And in here, we can select this guy. I think I know what might be the problem now. We never set the class identifier. So in our storyboard, this guy is not set to a Flickr photo cell for one. And we can put the reuse identifier here as well. We might as well go ahead and do that just to cover our bases. When in doubt, just propagate it everywhere. All right. Try this again. Yep, I know what's hitting that. Change my search term, that might help. Nope, did not do it. Oh, okay. Looks like there's another issue here. Something about a callback function, so it's not, it looks like it's on a background thread. All right. Something with our method here, because I'm guessing if I comment out like this line of code, Yeah. So it doesn't like, it looks like I'm calling it on, I'm calling this guy on a background thread here, and this text field should return, and it doesn't like that. All right, so what we can do, something with the way I've got this defined. It actually doesn't create a compile error, but I think it's causing a problem. Let's see.
You don't have to use a segue or something for this stuff, do you?
No.
That's weird, isn't it?
Okay, I think this guy with our completion handler. See, the way we're defining this is that what's happening, I think, is that we're calling the collection view reload data in the completion handler, and it's not on the main UI thread. Text. Let's do this results error. This. All right, so this should allow it to, if this works, we'll come back to it. I'm just gonna try it. This is a little bit more than what we really bargained for at this level of the class, but what the heck. All right, let's see what happens here. Continue. No, that's not it.
I just comment out the text field nil part, it returns the results.
Does it?
Yeah, I don't get the picture, but it's one step backwards.
At least we get the text field dot text entry.
Okay.
So
So
At the bottom of,
the
Text
other,
field
yeah, the
should
text field should return method.
yeah, I just commented that equals nil when you're not.
All right. I'm just going to change this actually and see if that works. And, all right. Go back to trees. No, I'm still, so you don't get the, but do you have
We
the,
also have the self dot collection view reload data commented out.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the guy that's causing the issue is
Well,
that,
I commented out that entire line. I didn't just set it to empty string.
right, but I think what's causing the error is not that line. I think it's this one here is what's causing their error. Is there, well, it's not equal to no.
Oh, it's self.
Well, let's try this. I'll try moving it out of here. And move it down here.
It's not really messing up,
And it doesn't crash anymore, but it also doesn't load anything. So I think it's because we're processing this stuff in the background and we never get back to the foreground. So I'm going to take that out of there, put it back in here. Let's see if we can selector. On main thread. All right, we'll try a little bit of magic here. See if it'll let me do this. Oh yeah, okay. We have to do this. All right, I'm going to do this. Still hasn't. All right, let's see. Enclosure. Implicit use of self-enclosure. Use self dot to make capture semantics explicit. All right. We'll see if this works. This
I
is
don't
a,
think we can do the selector hashtag selector.
yeah, you guys would have to do the quote, the double quotes, and then the reload data instead. But it maybe just hold off until I see if it actually works. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to force execution onto the UI thread. No, it's just not buying it. All right. Well, maybe it's a red herring. It might be happening somewhere else in a different method, and I'm thinking that it's. So what we can do is I have a breakpoint there. A breakpoint here. Breakpoint here. All right, I'll try that. When in doubt, put some breakpoints in. Okay, so this is the layout. That seems to be working just fine. Okay, so it's gotten past the section insets. Now it's in here. So it happens on the very first one. So I still think it still appears that there's something wrong with the reuse identifier. So let's modify our method, our self-road index path. That might be the cause of our misgiving. I am going to go ahead and comment all this stuff out. And we're just going to create the cell and return the cell. Or I could delete it all.
You did. Everyone likes to type.
All right, comment. All right, we'll try it like that. And get rid of these breakpoints. Here we are. All right, so something in our stuff here that's just not liking. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that. All right, so I'll decomment this stuff. By the way, is everyone able to call that perform selector if you use the quotes instead of the selector, pound selector that I did?
Yes.
Why?
Feedback.
All right.
Able to do-
I think this might be what's because I'm actually basically recreating a cell. All right, we'll give her another go. All right. Wow. There they are at long last. No pain, no gain. So here are our Flickr photos. So in theory, I should be able to research, re-search. Now we have houses to add on to our trees. And we got a little bit of issue with the display. But all right, so the issue, as it turns out, is all because I was re-instantiating the cell. So I should have behaved and just done what I'm supposed to do and just use this DQ reusable cell, but which is fine. It creates the cell, but then I was recreating it here using our init method, and that caused it to crash. Because basically, it's like you're allocating the memory twice. Okay. This sometimes, with these, I've noticed they look kind of wonky like this. But if you run them on an actual physical device, usually they clear up. All right. So as you scroll up and down, these guys are getting popped off the queue, the cells. All right, so what I'm gonna do is now that I've made this ridiculously a much more elaborate than it needs to be, I'm gonna go back in here. The perform selector on main thread. So try to explain a little bit of what we were doing when I was trying to debug this problem. There's two different ways of doing the closures of these asynchronous method calls. One is the original way we had it with the completion handler, and then the completion handler basically that fires it off and just sits there until it comes back, and then in the completion handler it does some stuff. It's just the way in which basically it handles the return. We had it originally that way. There's no significant difference other than the fact that this kind of does it more inline, so it's more like in a synchronous fashion. And then I called this guy to force it to perform the reloading of the data on the main thread, thinking that it wasn't doing a thread context switch correctly. But I'm quite certain that if we take all this out, it'll work fine without all that in there. Now that I know that the whole problem was the fact that I was recreating my cell. So another unintended night of debugging. That's fine. Yep, that works just fine.
The reload data line you have commented out works also.
The which one, Trevor?
The self-collection view reload data line you have commented out. Instead of calling it as a...
Yeah, right. You could just call it directly, right? Yeah. I was trying to do all this stuff so I could use that perform selector on main thread, but not necessary. You just can't recreate the cell, and it all works fine. All right. Whew, okay. So any any questions or comments? Does everyone have theirs running now? No. Okay. What does yours do?
I'm trying to
Did you search
It's awesome. She can find
So
waffle
I get
underneath up here.
uncaught exception reason,
Makes sense.
unrecognized selector sent to instance something, 0x7f90.
Oh, it's 0x790.
Yeah.
I know what that is.
I get that one all the time.
Come on. Something a little harder than that. Okay, so unrecognized.
And I'm still getting everything is, well, I guess that you get the optional wrapping too.
Yeah, that's just because we didn't use the unwrapping. So where's the? Do you know where the exception's being thrown, Karen? By the way, before I forget, I want to thank Jess for sticking around last week and helping out those people that were still having problems. That was really nice. Nice of you to do. Fortunately, I don't think we'll have to do it this week, but we'll see.
I'm trying to figure out where it is.
Okay.
Foundation.
So let's go down into the exception.
right? Yeah.
Okay, reload data.
Okay. Where do you see that? Oh, yeah.
So there's something wonky with that. So you can stop it and we can just go in there and have a look at it. Yeah, why don't we go ahead and just take a break for a minute, unless you guys want to grab any problems as well. Yeah, go into your flip through. Sometimes you gotta do some- Right.
So I'm not sure if I can follow along.
Okay, there's your reload data. Where is your actual vector call? Or your actual method definition?
So I got lots of red spots here.
Lots of red spots?
Lots.
That might be a
Okay.
problem.
Let's start at the top.
If you didn't actually.
As that's a possibility.
Yeah, then what I would do is I would remove that,
Yeah,
where you call that reload data.
but I know I missed some spots.
Okay, just get rid of that, comment that whole line out, and just go back to calling yourself that collection.
It's just, you know.
Don't touch it.
I'm just gonna scroll it up a little.
Sorry, and then.
Where were you?
Alright,
Is it-
right at the beginning, function, collection view, collection, self-rate item.
All right,
Okay,
looks
that
fun.
does look fun.
Yeah, all right.
She's wanting to go through a coach, she's gonna write errors everywhere.
Yeah,
Oh.
got that vertical thing going on again, when you're going up and down, I'm,
Sorry.
no, yeah, it's just.
So,
So.
get a few red bars on.
Yeah,
You can really do it much better.
No, not necessarily. We went through it tonight pretty badly. Okay.
Oh, I just, I
Yeah.
have to keep putting this down. You know.
But we don't want that,
No,
that's
no,
not
I
good.
know, but I'm sure it's got some crazy things. Anyway, so I did pretty good, but then I think I know I missed some stuff in there, so I was just going
Okay.
to catch me
Flicker,
Oh, photo.
That's okay, I don't think that's gonna be a problem. If so, that image view, no.
Then there was something, this here doesn't belong here, I just typed it in there. Just slow down on it.
Oh,
I know it doesn't
all right,
belong.
yeah, you can just probably just whack that stuff out of it right now. All right.
Oh, no, not
If
that.
so, the image view, photo. So, what you'll want to do is where it says if cell dot image view equals no, you'll probably want to change that to say,
I think I missed this. Okay,
okay.
start right there.
So actually in the if statement right there,
Yeah.
I would say cell.imageview.image.
Oh.
Um, let's stay here. Let's keep
There's no. I get that a lot.
it. Okay.
Which means I'm not just not done.
Right. Get rid of the if statement, just delete that line.
This one.
And then we'll have to get rid of from the curly down all that stuff.
I'm fine.
Just get rid of it. Okay, so now we're looking better. Let R equals direct with this guy is a class name and you want to use that. So you just need to change the uppercase F to a lowercase. And then go to the little bullseye. I think you need an exclamation point or two in there. Just let it do that. Okay, so that clears that up. So we will get rid of that line altogether.
Oh.
Yeah, just delete it or
Oh.
cell the image view equals new line. That needs to be after at image view. You need to put dot image. Nope. After the image view, put dot image.
Oh, that's what I'm doing. Oh, okay.
Image. R. Click on the error once you're see what it says. Oh, I see why. Okay. What you need to do is you need to, where you have this cell dequeuing going on up here, that needs to be cast as a flicker photo of cell. So at the end of that statement, just go as flicker photo of cell. Cell. Yep, just like that. And then you'll have to, that needs an exclamation point. And then you have one more error. Let's see what that's. Oh, you can just comment that line. Well, actually, no, get rid of the dot image at the end of that. So just say cell dot image view equals. And then after view, image put view. Yep, right there.
After
It's right there. Yeah, no space, just right there. So clear that up.
Oh.
And that should be good. Size for our index pad. Not sure what that's going to be about. I think that is missing the word path. Where's the index index? It should be index path. And then that you can do, I think. And now let's see, let's scroll up a little bit and see if we got any other errors.
Oh.
Yeah, it might be left over. Try deleting it. Okay, so let's go back to that error. See where that's coming from. Oh, we got a. Yeah, you get rid of that parenthesis right there. The one that you just, no, that one's okay. It's, so you need, get rid of everything from the end of it up to where it says fatal error. And then just do an open and then the one that says strings. And then just take that one. Just pull everyone in there. Well, you need to put it in a string.
Oh.
It's a string. And then closing so you're close. Let's click on that little bullseye there and see what that's all about. Oh, yeah, just double click on that. That makes it an override, and now I think you've done with the errors. Okay, so keep it going. Build it, run it.
Say before clean, so
Now here. Yeah, here it is.
So when it comes up with all those yellows, triangles,
Those are warnings.
yeah, just points, what can you ignore those?
It's not a great idea to ignore them, but sometimes.
What, all the trees or something?
Mm. Alright, well, it didn't crash, that's good. It just didn't log in. So there might be just like a line missing or something. But, so yeah, you'll have to, yeah, so now if you go back into your collection view, look for view control.
Like the biggest one.
Yeah, it's highlighted. Alright, and then, so here, this is the part where you need to call the collection view data, the results.
I gotta get on that.
You're not.
You can do it either
I am on
before
it,
or
but
after.
every time I see an inbox, I just hit the little trash can right away because I don't have time.
Or that,
So
You hit the trash can.
You need to get in.
Yeah, I gotta
yeah,
get
you
in
need to, either one.
Have it
Yeah,
open.
different
Oh, my
design.
calendar is like, okay, assignments are
So you
done,
just say
apply for jobs.
Nope, you want to say collection view. Dot reload data. Yep, just like that. Okay. You may have to do self.
And we still didn't get it now.
Invalid use of.
Fine.
Here's something that captures.
There you go. Look for target.
Football?
Yeah, just put self.
Yeah, I'm all about the pack.
Mm-hmm.
Pack tag.
Yeah.
Is that here in Stanford?
Right now,
Yeah,
me,
load
it's
data
on the
for you.
panic attack.
But you can hear
Um,
Unless
yeah, it just doesn't, you didn't call it, you actually have to call it. Now you can search on something.
Ooh, merchandiser. Like that is right.
No,
So displays.
ew,
That'd be fun.
I used to do that in Kmart.
You didn't like it, I take it.
Well, I liked it, but it was like, here, design how the purses are gonna look. And I'm like, alright, ding, 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 ding,
Be
ding.
creative.
No, I think it's,
It was fun to dick around.
search process to
If I've already had that job, I don't want that again.
Yeah, so
There's
that
our
would
technology
find,
sales rep.
results not now, so,
That's fine.
so let's go back to software.
I guess it would be
Multiple locations, whatever this is.
Sure.
Oh, you need to register
Software
your
engineer.
phone cell instead of UI
Yeah.
collection, so.
Those are all in my scope.
That is a Flickr photo cell. You need to register.
So you're going for both kind of
Instead
avenues.
of UI collection, so you got that too.
Designer and
Oh,
business.
where we were?
That, right now,
Mm.
I'm trying to scan.
Right?
I should probably stop this recording before it stops itself.